Hi, Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera. Today, we will discuss the recession of Bullied among politics prime student. Before that, I introduce myself. Myself is FAEZ bin SHAHRUL. My metric number 10D8019F1031. My fellow friend is Muhammad UBAIDULLAH bin AL-AMIN, Muhammad MUKHARITH bin KAMAL, and last but not least, LIEW. Okay, today table. Okay, this table is the profile of the respondent. Okay, the survey from was administered to 64 students from 4 different departments, as indicated in table. The respondent we first identified by their gender. The pool received 34 female students, 53.1%, and 30 male students, 46.7% response. Second, information about the respondent race was collection. In the pool, there were 4 different racial groups. They are 55 Malay students, 4 Chinese students, 2 Indian students, and 3 others people. Following that, information about the respondent age was acquired. The pool include 3 age students were between the age of 18 and 20. 5 students were between age 21 and 22, and 3 students were between the age of 23 and 25. Okay, student. In addition, the pool include from department 45 students studying commission, include JP. 5 students study in Information and Communication Technology, JTMK. 8 students study Electrical Engineering, JKE, and 6 students are studying Mechanical Engineering, JKM. Finally, data on the respondents semester was granted. Semester 5 has the greatest number of respondents, which consists of 45 respondents. Semester 3 have 7 respondents. Semester 6 have 5 respondents. Semester 4 have 4 respondents, and semester 2 has 3. Only 1 student participated in this study from semester 1, which has the lower number of respondents. Okay, next we go to my pie chart. This was question number 1 in my survey. Okay, this pie chart about show respondent of bullying major problem in our community. The had experience the largest segment of the chart, which made of slightly more than 2/3, is 67% of respondents state definitely. Besides that, just about a quarter of the respondent is 26% state probably. This was followed by marginally more than 1 in 26% of respondents stated they have possibly. On the other hand, 1% of the respondent definitely not. In short, slightly more than a half of the respondent with bullying a major problem in our community. That's all for me. I pass to my
fellow friends. My name is LIEW and my metric number is 10D8019F1500. Today, I want to talk about the data has been collected on the perception of bullying surveys. My presentation will be used in a bar graph and a pie chart. This bar graph shows the respondent feedback on the frequency student has been the victim of the bullying by another student. The y-axis is represent the number of respondents, while the x-axis is represent the frequency student has been the victim of bullying by another student. There are 4 frequency of the respondent has been the victim of bullying by another student stated in the graph, which are often, sometimes, seldom, and never. It is clear from the graph the never was the most respondent, which accounted for 20x respondent in total. Meanwhile, seldom record 18 respondent, and it was second highest group, which are slightly higher than sometimes of personal space by 5 respondents. The least respondent state often, and this frequency only record 3 respondents. In a nutshell, majority the respondents state they never has been the victim of bullying by another student. The second question on the survey is, how many times have you been bullied? And this bar graph is show the respondent feedback on how many times the student has been bullied. The y-axis is represent the number of respondents, while the x-axis is represent the frequency of student has been bullied. There are 4 frequency of the student has been bullied stated in the graph, which are never, occasionally, frequently, and rarely. It is clear from the graph that never was the highest respondent by the student has been bullied. It is accounted for 28 respondents in total. Meanwhile, rarely recorded 20 respondents, and it was the second higher growth, which was dramatically higher than occasionally by 14 respondents. The least frequency student being bullied was only 4 respondents. In a conclusion, the majority of respondents state they never has been bullied. The third question of the survey is, how were you bullied? This pie chart shows respondents respond on how they will be bullied. The largest segment of the charts, which make up of nearly a half of respondents, have not been bullied. Besides that, just over 1/5 of respondents choose verbal insult. This was followed by just over 1/10 of respondents state they has been sent threat warning. This finding is similar with the respondent has been physically assaulted. On the other hand, slightly less than 1/10 of the respondent has been bullied by others not belonging. In conclusion, majority respondents respond they have not been bullied. This is all from my presentation. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is UBAIDULLAH bin AL-AMIN. My matric number is 10D8019F1076. Now I will be presenting question 5. And question 5 stated that how many have bullied you? So from that question, the title of the graph is number of people have bullied you. In that graph, it stated that 4 types of categories colors have, which is the first color is blue color. Blue color represent I have not been bullied. The second color is orange. Orange represent 1 to 2 people. And then grey color represent 2 to 3 people. And lastly, yellow color represent more than 4 people. So now I will be interpreting the graph. The bar chart above shows that the feedback from the respondent on how many people have bullied them. Y-axis represent number of respondents, while X-axis represent number of people bullied. There are 4 types of numbers people bullied, which is I have not been bullied, 1 to 2 people, 2 to 3 people, and lastly more than 4 people. It is clearly stated in the graph that I have not been bullied was the most not been bullied experienced by the respondent and accounted for 41 respondents in total. Meanwhile, 1 to 2 people recorded for 13 respondents, which was the second highest in the group. which is slightly higher than 2 to 3 people and more than 4 people by 6 respondents. Last but not least, the most uncommon numbers people bullied were 2 to 3 people and more than 4 people, which only comprise of 7 respondents. In a nutshell, majority of the respondents stated that they have not been bullied by anyone. Move into next question. Question 6 asks, where do you think bullying occurs the most? So from that question, the title of the graph is places bullying occurs the most. So in the graph there is 5 types of different colors, which is the first color is the blue color. The blue color represent for restroom, while the pink color represent for dormitory, while green color represent for cafe or canteen, while purple color represent for classroom, and lastly the yellow color represent for common area. So it is clearly, so now I will be going into interpreting the graph. On my left side, the bar chart shows the feedback from the respondent on places bullying occurs. Y-axis represent for number of respondents, while X-axis represent type of places. There are 5 types of places bullying occurs, which is restroom, dormitory, cafe or canteen, classroom, and lastly is common area. It is clearly stated in the graph that restroom was the most common bullying places experienced by the respondent, and accounted for 26 respondents in total. Meanwhile, the dormitory was the second highest bullying places occurs, which is accounted for 24 respondents. Besides, the classroom was the third highest bullying place occurs, which accounted for 22 respondents, which is marginally higher than common area by 4 respondents. Last but not least, the most uncommon area bullying occurs was in the cafe or canteen, which only comprised of 13 respondents. In a nutshell, majority of the respondents stated that the most bullying occurs placed in the restroom. Okay, so now we move to next question. Question 7 asks, have you seen or heard anyone being bullied? So that is the question. So for the title of the pie chart is type of bullying. So in the pie chart there is 4 types of color. So the first one is blue. Blue color represent for cyberbullying, while red color represent for physical bullying, while green color represent for verbal bullying, and lastly for purple color represent for racial bullying. So now I will be going into interpreting the pie chart. So on my left side, the pie chart shows the respondent responses on the type of bullying they had experienced. So the largest segment of the pie chart, which made up nearly a half of the respondents, they had experienced cyberbullying. Besides, almost less than a third of the respondents had experienced physical bullying. This was followed by a fifth of the respondents stated that they had verbal bullying. On the other hand, racial bullying by 1 in 20 of the respondents. Last but not least, slightly more than a half of the respondents were a victim of the cyberbullying.
Thank you to Mr. UBAIDULLAH. Before I start, may I introduce myself. My name is MUKHARITH bin KAMAL. My number metric 10D1890F1035. The bar graph above depicts the type of action that respond some bullying activity in Polytechnic. Y-axis represents the number of respondents, while X-axis represent the type of action. There are 4 types of action stated in the graph, which are very likely, somewhat likely, not likely, and not likely at all. It's clear that higher number of respondents, which are accounted for 28 respondents, prefer to very likely. 10 respondents, on the other hand, state that they not likely take an action. This is considerably higher than those who are somewhat likely take their action. The latest number of respondents, 4 students, say not likely at all to take action. In conclusion, the majority of respondents prefer to very likely to take an action that report bullying activity than other type of based on bar graph. Next, on my right, the pie chart above show how confident are you the Polytechnic deal well with bullying incident. The largest segment of the chart made up of slightly just under a half of the total respondents state how confident are you that the Polytechnic deal well with bullying incident. The second largest segment is very confident. There were 23% of 15 respondents choose based on this pie chart. This is followed by not very confident, with slightly more than a fifth. The total number of respondents choose their confidence based on pie chart. The last segment from the pie chart show that not very confident at all is the least. Consider in choosing confident as only 8% of the respondents picked in. In summary, most of the respondent confident choice is based on quiet confidence. Last, the bar graph above show now 2 ways that can prevent bullying in Polytechnic. Y-axis represent the number of respondents, while X-axis represent about ways that can prevent bullying in Polytechnic. There are 4 types of ways stated in the graph, which are educate the victim to report the incident of bullying, increase the level of supervision in their area, third, punish the person that bullying, and have an anti-bully policy in Polytechnic. The higher number of respondents which accounted for 80 prefer to have anti-bullying policy in Polytechnic. Meanwhile, educated the victim to report incident of bullying in recorded 16 respondents, and it was a second higher response in the survey. Only 15 respondents prefer using the increase the level of supervision in the area, and this share similar number of response that state to punish person that bullying other. In conclusion, majority of the respondents prefer to and have an anti-bullying policy in the Polytechnic than educate the victim to report the incident of bullying, increase the level of supervision in the area, or punish person that bullying other. Thank you.